Shortly after I did my Jeep fishing kit, I was asked how I would use the flies on one of these rods that I had in my kit. Well, it's fairly simple. This is 4-pound test line, measured it out, 3, 6, 7, 8, somewhere in there. Now, I'm using this on my 15-foot rod. I would probably go less than 6 if I was using it on a 10-foot rod. And the reason will become clear very shortly. I am not so much casting this like I would if I had a worm with a hook on it and a weight, and I'm not casting it like I would if I was using a tenkara rod or even a fly rod. I'm more going to do what I would refer to as dapping, although dapping is usually using a topwater fly. This should be a wet fly, sinking fly, but it's on a short line, similar to what some nymph tenkara or not tenkara but Carrero anglers do. If you notice, I don't have my pole all the way out, and there's my little black fly. Now, the other thing to remember is this is my travel kit, and as a travel kit, it's basically what I would use if I was traveling. While I do fly fish, and fly fishing can be good for lots of different species on lots of different water, I have found generally moving water I have the best luck with flies. I don't necessarily think I'm going to catch anything, even on my own private pond, but I'm going to try. Like I said, moving water tends to help out when you're using flies and fly fishing. And I will readjust the camera and see if you can actually see what I'm doing. At least you'll be able to see the pole. Finally got the fly to start sinking, and you'll be able to see what's going on. There again, I'm not really casting as much as I'm putting it out there. Now, I could also use a split shot to get a little weight and sinking, but I'm not doing that right now. And the method does work. Although it is a little long to get a hold of the fish. There we go. Fish on my Jeep rod using the flies in my Jeep kit. Now let me reposition the camera and see if you can get a better view of that. Alright, got the camera set up right beside me, and I just flipped the fly out on this long pole. Like I said, it's a wet fly and it sinks, and I'll just move it and let it sink again. Move it again. And what I would do on still water, not so much this pond, but if I was somewhere else, is I'd work the bank, I'd work along, I'd put my fly in likely spots, let it sink, just like you would fly fishing, only you only have 6 foot of line on whatever length of pole you're using. And as it gets wet, it's easier to flip it out there. Not doing any major casting, not doing any major working, more or less letting the fly do all the work for me. Thought I had a hit. But as you can see, it just flips out there. I probably could use a longer line, but the longer line you put out there, the less control you will actually have over the fly and where it goes. As it is, It's going to go 6 foot from the rod tip, unless you get a tangle, which I just did. It's out. I just do an overhand side right through the trees and let it sink. Like I said, for still water, I prefer, unless I'm over bedding fish, I really prefer to use a live bait or a dough bait, something of that effect. For moving water, because the water actually imparts a little action to the fly, and I've found that moving water fish tend to be a little more aggressive, I'll use the flies. Fly fishing, this is, doing it this way is kind of new to me. I have used cane poles and poppers for brim over the beds, but little sponge spiders, stuff like that, but not so much this. But the concept is the same. I'd like to get one more fish if I can. I'm doing this before the storm hits, hopefully. But that's effectively how you'd use the fly. I did catch one. I'm actually wanting to get another little bit of footage for something else. So I think I'm going to cut it off here. Yeah. That storm is rolling through. I think we'll cut it for now. And maybe I'll revisit it sometime when I hit some moving water.